Alright guys, first thing I like to do is take the quick release off the wheel. It's a lot easier to work on this. It's actually the only way you can take this cassette off. If you leave the quick release in, it's just not going to work. Next up is the BBT5 tool from Park. This little guy is actually pretty cool. Let me see if I can get you in a little closer here. It is very, very useful, as it is the only tool you can use to take off a campy lock ring on a cassette from Park. And you know, it's pretty economical. They only cost about 10 bucks as opposed to the how many ever dollars Campagnola will charge you for theirs, even though theirs would be a lot nicer. So you slide that in there, that's lined up. Next thing, wrap your chain whip, pick a gear, doesn't matter which one. I kind of like somewhere in the middle. And you got a nice one of these wrenches, big open-ended. I like to make it so I can kind of get some leverage by pushing on the two, pushing against each other. Loosen it, pull that off, give myself some room to work here, and that comes off, voila, cassette. Now I don't need to do anything with this. As you can see here, there's a little bit different system from a Shimano. This engagement system actually works really, really well. Helps minimize wear because it's got deeper grooves on the freehub body. So this is how it goes back on. Pretty basic. You line up all the teeth. Inside there's splines. And if somehow these get mixed up like this, Campagnola is actually pretty easy. You just match up this one that's got, instead of just slots everywhere, it's got a slot with a notch. So you line up that slot with a notch, line up the spacer. These all go in. You know, Shimano is going to be the same way. It's going to be pretty easy, but Alright, so we got the lock ring in place, the tool in place. Let's tighten this down. I like kind of hold the tire against my pants and my leg there. And tighten this down. I like to be nice and snug. You know, it does have a Newton meter rating on it for about 40 Newton meters, but as far as I'm concerned, you know, you get nice and snug, you're going to reach that 40 Newton meters without much of a problem. So that is it. Alright guys, this time we are going to be working on the Shimano system, which also SRAM uses. In fact, this is going to be a SRAM cassette. This is the Power Dome, which is synonymous with SRAM Red. A lot of people like it. You know, I think it's pretty cool too. It's machined out of one piece of aluminum, except for this lower lock ring. It's pretty cool. So we're going to use a different tool here. It's the Freewheel Remover 5 from Park, or just a basic Shimano one. This one actually doesn't fit around this axle, so oh, there we go. Alright, grab the chain whip, find a nice one here, lock it down, hold the wheel, and apply some wrench force. This one's actually on really tight, so you gotta be careful not to slip. You slip, you could damage your lock ring, damage your tools. You could end up some bloody fingers because spokes, as narrow as they are, will cut you open. So that's pretty much that part. You know, this one's actually really easy because you've got these two lower cogs, which are basic on Power Dome, and then you've got this unit. This thing's pretty cool. Nice and hollow piece of aluminum. Now with the Mavic wheel, if we have a Mavic wheel here, it's important to note that this special spacer is called a low spacer, designed specifically for the Mavic system, and you've got to have it with all cassettes that go on here. So you can see it goes on right there where that notch is. Let's see if I can get a better view here. It goes on right here. Because there's, unlike the Campagnola, it just has one wide notch. All of them are pretty low profile there. Alright, so when putting a Shimano cassette or a SRAM cassette back on, it's important to note that you match up these notches, or these splines, with these splines. Splines as they will be called. So, as you can see, as I'm spinning this, they're all pretty equally spaced, except for this large one that's marked by a narrower rise, I guess if you can call that. So what I'm going to look for in here is the one that covers more space, has a wider tooth in there. I don't know if you can see that right there behind my finger. And I'm going to line it up with that, so that wide one is going to line up right there, and it's going to drop right on. Now see, if I try to do it any other way, if I try to put it on backwards, it's not going to go very far either. So always make sure you're putting it on the right way. It'll go on very easy. If you find yourself have to force it, you're doing something wrong. Same thing here, line up this big one right there, and this one is your final 11 tooth cog, and fits right there. Locker ring's ready to go, and put it back on. I like to tighten her down. I like to tighten the SRAM ones down quite a bit more. I find they always come loose. So hold your wheel in place, don't let anything slip, so be careful. And that is that. Pick up your tools if you drop them. So this one's ready to go, and that concludes our tutorial on Shimano and Campagnolo style systems.